Okay. I logged off of everything on the iPad. It's the worst thing in the world trying to find all your passwords.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. It's going to be a day and a half of digital clutter reset. But that's the stuff they never taught you in high school.
The life we live.
I'm telling you, it's crazy.
We're good.
So by the looks of Marissa's computer, we are live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to One-on-One Live with Coach Blu and Athletic Director Marissa. 2-on-2. You know,
2-on-2.
2-on-1.
Oh.
However it is. I don't know.
Do they play games of 2-on-2?
I think so. Well, you can
or
do
is it
some
just
pretty,
3-on-3 or 1-on-1?
Pickleball, I think, handball, I think, tennis. There's a lot of things I think you can do. Double teams, I guess, right? I don't know. We got to come up with a new name for the show, but nonetheless, this is your weekly call-in/submit show where we like to, talk about all things addiction recovery, mental health, family therapy, counseling, whether it be communication issues, relationship issues, rec therapy, whatever it is on the horizon you guys are dealing with, we'd love to help. Coach Blu Robinson, mental health therapist, addiction counselor.
Marissa Robinson, recreational therapist.
The cool job. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Hey, on this approach as we kind of launch, I would say the official 2023, recreation year, because it seems like this is the time of year where we start looking forward to some events and some races coming down the pipeline. We're going to be leaving to Las Vegas here tomorrow. Tomorrow on the podcast, but Friday, if you're listening to this live right now, for the Rock and Roll 10K and half marathon. What's going to be probably a little bit rainy in Las Vegas. Hopefully there's some sunshine that can come through there, because we just got pounded with about 9-10 inches of snow today
here at our house. Yeah, we did.
Good grief, it's crazy. I'm ready for the sunshine, and I know we need the snow. I know we do, but it's time. Nonetheless, Marissa, we here at Addict Athlete, we appreciate you guys listening, downloading, and sharing this podcast with anyone who may be struggling with addiction or mental health, and specifically all of our Patreon subscribers. You are they who will help us push this podcast out further, help us move that recovery mindset down the rails of society. And if you wouldn't mind jumping on whatever platform you're listening to, give us a review. It helps immensely, extend and push this podcast out. But for you Patreon subscribers, thank you so much. Your donations go into helping us maintain the Libsyn, that is our podcast hosting site, right down to the content and stuff we're able to promote. And if you are thinking about wanting to support the Addict Athlete podcast, jump on patreon.com/AddictTOAthlete and pick a tier that works for you. I love this premise to help, from recovery, because it's us giving you stuff back too. Patreon subscribers, you guys are held very high regards in our hearts.
Absolutely.
And will be a new episode dropping this week before we push on down to southern Utah / southern Nevada too, right?
Yeah.
Would you mind going down our list of amazing Patreon subscribers so we can give them the recognition that's well-deserved?
Absolutely. So we want to thank our Patreon subscribers. There's our super fans: Karen Hardy, Steve Riggs, Tracy Whitby, Jerem Thurston, Tara Butson, Holly Davies, Brett Frew, Chris Williams, Sensei KP Brown, Patrick Forsyth, Brock Gellerman, and Christy Case. Thank you to our super fans.
Thank you.
Then our rookies are Sione and Mary Inuk, Sherry Polson, Earl Dyer, and Wendell Wood. Thank you, rookies. Then the pro level is Andrew Baird and Gary Thurston. And our champion level subscribers is family and Ron and Dee Loesch. Thank you to all of our Patreons.
Absolutely. Again, we wouldn't be able to do this without your help and your assistance. So thank you guys so much. And some neat things on the horizon. So stay tuned, and we'll get that stuff out to you, through our social media links. Speaking of that, addicttoathlete.org, find all of our home-based stuff right there from stuff that you can use if you want to inquire more about addiction recovery, and resources, right down to our team store and opportunities for you to become a certified sober coach.
Absolutely.
Good stuff there. All right. We're still learning the process here, but we're going to start having our live call-in show here very soon, where you can call in live and stuff, get some kinks worked out, that we're going to be able to have you guys be part of the show. But we do get questions now and then that are submitted through Facebook and emails and all this stuff. But today we're going to talk a little bit about some stuff that we've noticed. I hope most of you, if not all out there in listener land, have been able to listen to our last podcast that we did with Ed Bish, who what they call it, the accidental activist. That's a hard thing for me to say. I was blown away by what I heard from Ed and the experiences that he had taking on, in essence, David and Goliath type mindsets where, Ed was kind of right there at the forefront of the Sackler and issues, Sackler family, Purdue Pharma.
Yep.
And the turmoil and the hell that family and others went through during like the time of revelation, when things started to kind of come unglued, right down to the recent news of them declaring bankruptcy and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been thinking a lot about that conversation I've had with him, because I still think we are coming up short with people really being enraged about what's happened. And listeners, you need to understand that you hopefully haven't lost someone to the opiate epidemic, or now the fentanyl epidemic that's happening again. Same footprint, different substance. But I'm telling you,
a lot of it started with this.
The level of absolute corruption. And I know you get sick of it because it's such a taboo thing, because there's so many conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff. But you guys have to understand that the Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family literally killed over 1 million people since mid-1990s till now.
Yep.
And
came out with the OxyContin.
Ed kind of pushed this, and we've all watched this. We talked about this when it came out on Hulu, the Dope Sick miniseries that was from a book that was written. By
Beth Macy.
By Beth Macy. Amazing.
Also, I think it was Netflix that also did The Pharmacist, which covered some of this and some of the issues. But Ed had a personal touch losing his 18-year-old son kind of in early 2001. Not even knowing what OxyContin was, and has been a fighter for this cause for over 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And he has sacrificed a lot of time and energy and money and resources trying to do his best to support those people who don't have a voice. And he's done a fantastic job.
The thing that was kind of like, I don't know, eye-opening to me was that as he was watching Dope Sick, and he would hear about these poignant times in discovery or in court cases or things, and as he watched them on this show, he's like, it was almost like a living journal for him. And it made me so angry, because that was not the way that his and his family's life should have been. Commemorating like life experiences. They were supposed to be able to do that with their daughter and their son, and to have those, first grandchild and all that stuff. And it makes me so angry that the justice system has failed miserably. Miserably. And when you start peeling back the layers, you see that money will do anything. And the reason these guys are not locked up in federal prisons for the rest of their life is beyond me. And I hope that comes in this next bout, because I'm telling you, listeners, it's hard to wrap your head around the fact that because they had endless financial support, they're not sitting behind bars. But if it were you or me or anybody else 100%. Out there, you would not have that same freedom.
This country's so twisted on.
It's got me thinking about the people
because they have money.
It's got me thinking about the people that we trust and elect, even more so now. Lobbyists and things of that nature. I'm starting to peel back the layer, starting to see the ugly side of some of this stuff. And it's rigged to a certain degree.
I know there's good people out there, and there's good people in politics and good people in pharmaceuticals, and and I think even some people start out with a good place in their heart in wanting to help, but money turns people. And Ed even talks about, early on being reached out and starting an early website called, wasn't it OxyContin Kills?
Oxy Kills.
And the Sacklers themselves, like Purdue Pharma, approached him and tried to sway him and pay him to change things. And he did change it at first, because he was like, maybe I am getting this wrong, because they were just like, no, it's only a 1%. And that was just your son. And, he slowly starts getting affected by the way they portray what's really going on, and through money paying him off. And then he starts continually getting emails, and he's like, I cannot be just getting emails of this happened to me, this happened to my mother, this happened to my brother. They became addicted and they were not drug addicts, and this didn't just happen to them, and I'm only hearing from the 1%. And he's getting thousands and thousands of emails. He's like, this is no, and took a step back, reassessed, and was like, no, I'm not joining the team of the Purdue Pharma who was attacking him.
That's the interesting concept too, is he did get some of those emails from people that were upset that he would even try to speak ill of it, because they were the ones that, it was working for, / the ones that needed it for chronic pain.
Yeah.
But when you peel back the layers, you start looking at, that's because they're in self-preservation mode.
Yeah.
And so
when they also were not being educated correctly on the medication.
No, they were being lied to.
They were fully being lied to. So yeah, it did help for some people, but they lied to people blatantly.
Mm-hmm. And, from pill mills and doctor shopping and all this kind of stuff, I was just so frustrated when I started peeling back the layers that it literally was the people that we voted for that receive all kinds of under the table and right across the table funding that said, you know what, they're off they're off the dock. We don't need to pursue anything.
They get bills. They get a pass because Purdue Pharma comes in and secretly funds these politicians to support bills or knock down bills, and it's sickening. It's
ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And so, as I was talking to him, though, it got me thinking about, why didn't you ever just completely throw in the towel? He talks about a little about where he had to take a back door and kind of like leave for a little while because it was too much.
Mm-hmm.
But he was reinvigorated and came back when the next bout of lawsuits came. And, it's like, how do you authentically in addiction recovery be taken serious for your voice now? How do you stand up for yourself now?
Yeah.
Because realistically, it's kind of like ants, right? Or with a bug's life. Like one ant, no big deal. But all of us together, we start making change.
Yeah.
And, you can do the stupidity route, which is go storm the Capitol, which is the dumbest effing thing you can do. Like, let's go and, stir the pot.
Yeah.
You can do it by staying silent and ignored. But there is a medium part here, people. And the only thing that sucks about this is, and Ed taught me this, it takes time.
Yeah. Patience.
It takes time. Because every few years, guess what happens to these elected officials that take hand over fist money?
Yeah.
They get up for re-election, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little bit bummed this last election with Utah. I mean, we keep doing the same stupid thing. And right now, one of our senators is just flip-flopping idiot. And I'm like, when can we get some real people that are like for the people?
Yeah.
And being genuine. And I know that's, politics and being genuine is hilarious. Even right down to some of our former senators. I mean, holy crap, Orrin Hatch, bloody hell. Don't get me started on that guy, the stuff that he did in this world. But how do you stand up for yourself? How do you start having a voice so that, A, you don't come across as a crazy lunatic?
Yeah.
B, you're not doing it so passive that you're ignored.
Yeah.
But being able to do this, not just for the heavy stuff like this, but for the sanctity of your recovery, for your family, for who you are, to stand up towards, unfit police out there, or, unfit, I would say employers.
Well, I look at it often, that it does look like a David and Goliath. And how do you do it? And you need to find people that have similar experiences. But number one, first and foremost, I think you have to start with some self-awareness inside. Mm-hmm. Where are you at? What do you think? What do you feel? And not trying to make some opinions based on facts and yourself rather than anywhere else, because it's really, really hard. Like even the concept of, now we know, we've known forever that opiates are dangerous. And this company came to doctors and doctors, pharmacists who knew it was dangerous, knew that it was not ethical, not safe, and were lied to, and then slowly started to believe it. And they were educated in understanding it. So we have to pull ourselves back and say, we need to assess ourselves. If I'm taking a prescription medication, how does this affect me? Is it safe? And then make a decision to then find out ways that you can stand up.
Well, you understand too, is I don't think a lot of us think about that in that kind of like frame of mind. We want pain to be gone. Yeah. And it worked eloquently for that, but it also got you hooked. Mm-hmm. Now, the problem about that kind of stuff is that, educate yourself. That's one thing, but you guys, we're not dumb. Like, I love the fact that we have to educate people. We're not stupid. We should know this kind of stuff, that anything we introduce like that could have the potential risk of fill in the blank.
Be aware.
So Marissa says, be accountable. We've got to be accountable and aware to what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. It's why those people that were reaching out to Ed saying that what he was doing was damaging because they needed the medication. It's like, take a step back. I know you think it's working for you and protecting it because you're in self-preservation mode. But like, look at the bigger picture here.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that, that we should take away all pain medications. Not at all, because there's legitimate reasons to use those.
Situations it's needed. Yeah.
But when you're hand over fisting, giving people like access to them, and then you get the people that are selling them when they shouldn't be. There's so many things. You get
an OxyContin because you had a root canal. Or a prescription of them, like that's not necessary.
Yeah. I was just listening to a podcast this morning with our friend Josh. It's called the other show, and one of the co-hosts there is James Spencer. He was in a really rough flipping snowmobile accident. Dude like bit his tongue, had black eyes from rocks and stuff. I mean, it was pretty rough. And he's in there having this podcast, and he's like, "He didn't go to the doctor," and he's like, "He's going to the dentist tomorrow." And I'm like, dude, that's crazy, because like, what about the pain you're in?
Yeah.
And I know he's probably in excruciating pain, but it's like, to him, it just doesn't register. It's like, no, I'll be okay. I was listening to another podcast with, I think it was Adam Carolla. He was talking to Jay Leno about about his accident he had a couple of months ago.
You're talking about that.
And, where Jay was like burnt. He was underneath one of his older cars and, flushing something, and out comes some fire, and it burned his face. The dude did not go to the hospital. He went the next day when he woke up and his face was stuck to the pillow. And then he's like, well, I got to do a few more things. And he'd take him like all day to get there. And then he was there for a few days, and you'd see him now. You couldn't even tell anything happened to him. I'm like, that is crazy. Like that mindset of like, well, it's going to hurt no matter what. So we'll just get through it.
Well, and I've just watched, Ed told us, we've watched a lot of the things on Big Pharma and the Dope Sick and the Pharmacist and some of those others, but he said there's a new one out on HBO Max called Crime of the Century. And so I just watched that over, and there was a part of it that, years and years ago, doctors didn't want to do any kind of pain relief, because they were like, people need to feel pain. They need to be able to assess themselves and assess their pain, and they heal quicker than if you do all this painkiller and take it away and then do things. And look how much our society has changed to that's the only thing we ask for. In fact, my sister is an ER nurse, and I texted her just over the weekend watching this and said, I know this was pushed by Purdue Pharma. Do they still do the pain scale when you come into the ER? Is that one of the assessments? And she's like, oh, absolutely. Can't take that away, because it is a form of assessing where the patient is. But her follow-up was, and it's also so important on patient reviews when they write up the hospital.
Let's have a little chat about reviews and Google reviews and Yelp reviews. Let's dive into that for a second, because listeners, there's a reason why this happens. And a lot of it is going to be chased down and followed through with the Google reviews. When we owned a treatment center listing, a lot of what we did was trying to get those good reviews, which is stupid, because let's say you have someone that gets kicked out for breaking the rules severely, having sex with other clients, doing the stuff that's just using in this facility,
sneaking in,
and you kick them out. Drugs. Where do they usually go to voice their concern?
Google reviews.
Google reviews kicked me out for no reason. Really? Now the problem with that is, as a treatment facility, you can't get on there and say, oh yeah, former client, well, it's because we caught you doing lines in the bathroom, while you were having sex with three other clients. Well, you can't say that. Why? Because you're breaking confidentiality.
Yeah.
So it's just weird thing. So it's kind of funny when people would read these reviews, and it's like, if you were smart, you realize that, oh, this must be a safe place because they're kicking people out, they're breaking the rules. But is it? I mean, they don't mean anything. Some people go in and review a restaurant. This is my favorite quote from my favorite movie, The Big Lebowski. That's just your opinion, man. Like, you may hate freaking pancakes with the certain kind of syrup, but someone else is going to love it. But you're going in there and you're reviewing it. It's the funniest thing. And so don't put stock in those things. Yeah. But when we do this on a medical level,
that
it opens up doors.
So important to hospitals, to their income, to their funding, that they have to have good reviews. Then it ties doctors' hands. It ties their 100%. Hands on the treatment and the accurate treatment of patient care, because all they're wanting is for the patient to post a good review, or for it to come back to the founding board that this person was treated fairly and kindly. And obviously we want to be kind, but if somebody's just coming and saying they didn't give me enough pain meds and I'm drug seeking, are we really helping? Are we really helping the patient, or are we trying to just get good reviews?
Well, it begs the question, like, what can we do instead of that? Because that's a big deal, right? So if you refuse help, guess what kind of review you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
Horrible. Even if it's against doctor's orders. We have family members, Marissa, that had the situation with doctors. And we remember like your family going to that certain doctor saying, do not prescribe this to our mother anymore.
Yep.
And he's like, well, it is what it is.
I'm the professional. I'm the medical provider, and she needs to follow my care.
Absolutely. And so I think that kind of stuff, you have to really wrap your head around how stupid of I guess, a system that we have when it relies on those kind of, I don't know, like statistical data. Like it's dumb because, there could be a doctor out there that's like, no, you know what? It's been proven. You can do the research on this kind of stuff. Those who go through surgery and are on narcotics longer tend to heal slower. Those that get off fast tend to heal quicker. Why? Because your body doesn't realize that there's a problem, so it slows everything down. It's basic basic recovery stuff.
Where if you don't have all those meds, you listen more to your body on what you can and cannot do, rather than ignoring because you don't feel the pain and you're doing more than you should, or just laying in bed because you don't feel the pain and you're passed out, right? So
you look at these kind of things and you think, okay, so the system's kind of flawed. So what can we do about it? How do you stand up for yourself? And like Marissa said, that part of you of like, that's in the internal guidance system is how I approach this, how am I seeing it? One of the things we talk about is you've got to be transparent. You got to be authentic. There's a reason why I have disdain for certain things in the world today. And, to be as transparent as possible would mean having a very open conversation about it, because the way I perceive something is not going to be the way someone else perceives it. Yeah. We had some situations this year earlier on with some law enforcement that governed the transportation. We'll call it tracks. And the dumbest people I've ever met were these three goofballs that came down to our facility here and were just being dumb. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? It was weird. The whole thing was weird. Flexing muscles that they thought they had. And it was really strange. And I thought, this is weird. If you're treating us this way, I can imagine how you're treating people, that really are struggling.
Yeah.
But from their point of view, they had every right to, and so kind of an interesting thing. And so I started looking at this kind of stuff and I'm like, all right, so then what do we do? How do you be transparent and authentic when you start standing up? Because the situation with that, the situation with I think Ed, transparency is what we want. We want to know what's behind all that. What's behind the iron curtain there, person in charge.
Yeah.
Right. That only goes so far, because people that are doing dumb things fall into two categories. Either they're stupid or they're lying. Yeah. Stupid or liar. And it's kind of interesting concept when you look at. I look at the situation we have with those three transit police officers, and I'm like, a couple of you were stupid, one of you was lying. And it's kind of an interesting thing, right? The Sackler family, they're all lying. They're not stupid at all. They are very intelligent. They're very wise, and yet they lived and fed lies to us.
Yeah.
What are you looking up? You're over here like scrambling for things. What are you?
I'm just posting in the Facebook posts of the things we're discussing. So if you guys want to watch some of these Netflix series or books.
Number 2, to really stand up for yourself in a very positive, is to take small but very powerful steps. See, the situation we had with those transit guys was hilarious, because they don't realize what's coming for them. Meaning, we are going to inundate them with education. We're going to help promote relationship building. We're going to start offering things to say, hey, you know what? If you guys communicated better, 1,001 different things could happen for you, instead of rolling in there like the high school football jock, wannabe touchdown king,
breaking necks instead of.
What if we had a conversation? If you really wanted to get to the bottom of it, how about we talk instead of accuse? Yeah. How about when I say something, you don't try and twist it and turn it around into something that it's not, because that's just stupid. And then you end up lying.
Yeah.
So the funny thing about this is taking small but powerful steps means that you're not waiting for big change. It's what Ed's been doing for years with Purdue.
Yeah.
These small victories that he and so many other people have had look insignificant at the moment because they're so small.
Yeah.
But over the long run, like he said, the one thing that they've been able to do is just obliterate the family name. Think about that for a sec, right?
Yeah.
And I think he said this on the podcast. If I had a Sackler last name, I would definitely go change it. He's like, because that they brought shame on that name. That's a powerful step, and there's more to come. And so I look at this kind of stuff. I think those powerful steps are to educate, to invite, to converse, all these kind of things.
Yeah.
And so, what's coming to the people we are, meandering with is really just let's have a conversation and find a more excellent way to do this kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Now, the funny thing about that is the people that don't want to do that because they know there's a problem, they hide from it. You'll find that in family systems when you're trying to address something sensitive. You'll find that with employers and employees when you get, the micromanaging type people who
getting close to the truth and you start getting attacked.
It's the funniest thing when you start getting close to the truth that people really start pulling their, the teeth and nails out, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. So, and that's, I think, the third step in this. So when someone attacks, just wait them out, because when someone attacks you that way, with verbally or, tries to decredit you, the dumbest thing about that is to fight back with, because you're just giving them ammo.
Mm-hmm.
The best response to that is noted, just moving on.
Yeah.
Don't feed or fuel the
Pay
fire.
Attention, remember, take some notes. You're getting your case, right?
So many issues I see with this, specifically when someone attacks, wait them out. It's not the most instant gratification type experience you get to have, but in the long run, you start seeing some things, and other people start seeing some things.
Yeah.
And I think number 4, you got to find out what is it really is bothering me. The thing that bothers me about the whole Sackler situation is the lies. It's the lies and the non-responsibility they're trying to take for over 1 million that have died. I mean, you say that so much with so many people like now, like, oh, you get 209 a day and we get 100 and something thousand a year. We get over 1 million since the 90s. It's losing its its shock value.
Sadly, yeah.
No one's like, it's on TV tonight. You guys, it's crazy. So what's really bothering me about like what Ed said? It's just the blatant disregard for human life.
Yeah.
And like you said, it could have started off as super important. But the execution of it all made it look ugly and drug-y and cartelish, and my gosh, at least the cartels out there, they're honest with what they're doing. They're like, we're selling drugs. We're doing this.
Yeah. Everyone knows it.
Everyone knows that we're out to make money. Those guys, though, they're like, what? This is happening.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And just such backdoor ways of
absolutely
addressing things. Yeah.
Be able to talk about it without really getting into, I think, the feeling stuff. Like, stay away from the feeling when you're doing this, because it's really easy to go up there and say, I hate this and I hate that. But really, the thought process is super important.
Yeah.
Like,
address with what you're thinking or facts, things about the situations. Yeah.
You got to be deliberate when you're standing up for yourself too. You can't be willy-nilly. You've got to be deliberate. You got to do like the actions that follow kind of like, the experience. I've been watching a lot of this guy. His name is Sean Paul Reyes. He's a First Amendment auditor. And I'm telling you guys, I used to agree with these people. Oh, they're out there provoking police and doing this kind of stuff. And I can't believe they're having all this. But I started watching them and I started really kind of understanding what they were doing. And it had nothing to do with provoking police. It was standing up for our Constitution.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny thing because
they do all these videos now as education to teach.
And it is so bizarre that something as simple as filming in public can freak people out to the point where they get violent. They call police. He's been arrested multiple times, and
he's been attacked.
Charges are always dropped because it's like, at the end of the day, I'm filming in public. One of the funniest things he says when he goes into a building is he's like, goes into a building and he's like filming and people are freaking out, yet there are cameras everywhere. And you can go to Freedom of Information Act request and get all that camera footage. Anybody could if they wanted to. But I'm like, everyone gets so upset with him. But I'm like, you guys have to understand what he's doing truly is he is allowing people to use their First Amendment.
It's one of our basic rights.
Right? And the thing is if we don't question that stuff, we're going to lose them.
Yeah.
And so I look at these kind of things and I'm just like, man, we really have to be deliberate in what we're doing. It's why we started Addict to Athlete. We didn't like the way people were being perceived as addicts in our society. We thought that word didn't quite represent the person they were. So we were deliberate in the way that we very profoundly pushed away from that mindset, and it caused some waves and it caused some ripples and it caused some relationship conflicts, but we got through it because we were deliberate with what we were doing. We weren't trying to be something that we weren't. And, we really didn't want to, frustrate the rest of the programs out there and the ones that were going to come up after us.
Yeah.
And so be deliberate with what you're trying to deliver as well. Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
So, and I think that's a hard thing because when we let emotions get in the way, we lose a lot of credibility. I've noticed that. I get so passionate that I'm just like,
you don't see things straight.
I really don't. I can get, even in this podcast, if you listen to it, I'm like, these dummies and all,
we have a podcast a few back on anger.
Yeah, so we do.
Go back and listen to that.
Again, mine's passive aggressive anger. It's one of my favorite things. If we're not
careful, anger clouds facts. We don't think clearly. We don't act clearly. And the really best way to come out on top is by staying calm and being able to present in a correct way. Why
do you think it's hard for some people, specifically those in recovery? Why do you think it's difficult for them to stand up for themselves after so many experiences or so many,
I think one of the basic feelings that follows addiction a lot is shame. And so, when you start building and getting better and doing better, it's still a big dark cloud that follows you. Mm-hmm. That you're a bad person, you're not worth it, and so when you enter any kind of arena or situation, you just assume you're the bad person, not compared to the others, or you're not worth it, or, your opinion isn't important, or, there's a million and one things, because you really have to fight that belief that, yes, maybe you made bad choices, but that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're, have no value.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Your voice still does matter quite significantly. Just recently, last week, I was under the weather, but you and Max rolled up to Salt Lake to participate in the rally, which happens every year. And it was interesting this time to listen as you guys did some live broadcasting up there, to understand that your voice has some ground, you guys. Yeah. Like it truly does. And if you don't use it, I think listening to the speakers that were up there and just what some of the people that really hold you in high regard, you'll see what they're doing by having conversations with them. Our politicians and the people out there, they're not untouchable. You can contact them, you can speak with them. We've had several of them on our podcast.
Yeah, that's their job. They're supposed to work for us. Now with the internet too, it's so much easier to be able to you can just go and find their phone numbers. You should be able to text, email, call, set up appointments with them. It was really neat though at the rally this year, besides the fact to see how big it's grown. Do you remember how long we've been doing this?
Well, since we started, it's been about 12 years now.
12 years at least. And they said the other day that this rally for recovery is the largest rally that they have at the Capitol every year. Mm-hmm. Like they'd have different rallies for many different situations or during legislation for other bills. And the rally for recovery has been so consistent, and those voices are being finally heard even more, that Utah is really supporting it. And we have a strong system that's here to finally listen and help.
I'm telling you, it's grassroots level and people that make change. And patience.
Like you said, it's not come overnight. But we have legislators now speaking at the rally, and more of them really understanding that punishing and using the, crime as a way to fix addiction isn't working. And they're finally seeing that, but it's taken decades.
But listeners, this is where you come in. This is where your voice matters, because they don't know. They're not the professionals. We were speaking at a treatment center to everybody that was there. I'm like, after you guys leave treatment here, you're the professionals. You're the professional in your recovery. It's your responsibility now to carry that message. To go and to communicate. It doesn't mean you have to have a job at a treatment center, or, what it means is that you're willing to advocate for, for the people you vote for,
advocate for yourself, for recovery, for, things you believe in. Absolutely.
There's still so much that needs to change out there. We need to really fix the way that people who have, substance abuse backgrounds or some challenging backgrounds, how they can afford housing these days.
Yeah.
Like, they go to treatment, they go to prison, they do whatever. And they fulfill their obligations, and then they get out and they're like, well, we don't want you here.
It's like a life sentence. They pay their fines, they do their time, but then they have the record that holds them back from jobs.
And we have expungement and things like that. But guess what? That takes time
and money.
So where are they supposed to be? Where are they supposed to go when they're trying to rebound? Yeah. And so, we've got to really start caring about ourselves. And that's why these programs that happen in Utah, and I say this all the time, we're very lucky in the state of Utah because we have so many grassroots organizations like Addict to Athlete, Addict Fighting Back, Fit to Recover, USARA, all these programs that are willing to, take people under their wing. So a lot needs to happen. Don't be afraid to express your voice.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to question the man or authority. But be willing to listen to their side. I could have conversations with people that I know are wrong. I mean, I got to remember, I've had conversations with people years ago that said medicated assisted therapy is the worst thing I've ever heard of. Stupid as that. Until I listened. And it was Bruce Miller. It's like, Blue, you got to listen. He's like, I know you have your thoughts. Mm-hmm. It's like, but just listen. And I did. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of, and you had debates like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't see it. I'm not down for it.
And you've slowly changed.
The more I've researched, not just one that's like, well, nope, that's my F everybody else.
Yeah.
Like when I say I'm going to research, I do. I look it up, I listen, I watch,
Having
I read.
An open mind is so important.
You've got to. So have that, and let's do something huge here. Go listen to that last podcast if you haven't. Follow Ed and all he's doing. Follow the relatives
against
Purdue, the rap. Yeah, go follow that group.
Yeah, relatives against Purdue.
Mm-hmm. And let's stop advocating and let's start making some change. Let's start making some here.
Yeah.
Just a lot of stuff on my mind that way. But really, troops aren't coming. We're the troops. So with that, listeners and athletes out there, thank you guys for all your support, for being willing to to motivate yourself through participation and through experience, creation and movement, through healing, and again, just knowing that you're not. I don't have to suffer this alone. You can definitely experience life in a beautiful way.
For sure.
If you kind of get out of the darkness, right?
Yeah.
So beyond that, continue our social media, outlets. We've got a awesome half you can do as a team called the No One Left Behind. Is going to be happening in June.
Yeah, find your team.
Register now. The registration is open. This is the coolest thing. It's like you're only as fast as you're slow. And so instead of trying to get there as fast as you can, you get to have an experience with 2 other people or more that you guys can help achieve a goal. So if there's someone out there that's like, I'd love to run a marathon, but this race is for you.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful trail, closed to all vehicles. It's very safe. No matter how long it takes you to get the thing done.
Yeah.
What we want you to do is come out and have the experience. Jump on addicttoathlete.org for more information. Is there a direct link they can do that we can post to this?
It's on our website, but I can post it in the comments.
Okay. We'll post it in the comments. Remember that registration is open for our September run, the proxy 5K. Run. Yep, this is the big one. And we'll talk more about that, but you can find all of our events, our team store, everything on addicttoathlete.org. So athletes, continue to do what you're doing. We'd love to hear from you. Please jump on. Have an open line here soon. But in the meantime, if you have questions, submit them. We'll get them read.
Yeah.
If we don't read them on air, we'll definitely get them shot to you through maybe an email or social media post.
Yes, please.
So until next time, continue to turn that mess of addiction into